Welcome back, everyone. So we will continue with critical incident analysis. So it's the third part, or rather part of analyzing qualitative data. Uh, First is that we can identify things, whether it's inductively or deductively. For categorizing data, we knew or we learned that it's often used deductively because we already have categorized data. Now, for this, data gathering session can often result in a lot of data. Analyzing all of this data in any detail is very time consuming and often not necessary. Critical incident analysis is one approach to identify significant subsets of the data for more detailed analysis. So, because of large data and few time that or resources we usually have, we need to stick with the usual or the most important uh, as usual. So we're doing that via section or subsets of the data. So this actually emerged from work carried out in the United States Army Air Forces, where the goal was to identify critical requirements of good and bad performance pilots. Uh, in 1954. It has two basic principles. Reporting facts regarding behavior is preferable to the collection of interpretations, ratings, and opinions based on general impressions. So there's a lot of opinion, a lot of data that could be important, but are actually misleading us to the things that actually matter. So the way to do this is to establish facts. So what are actually the data that is useful? So it's been used in military, or it was created or invented during the time of after World War II. If the interaction design context In the interaction design context, the use of well-planned observation sessions satisfies the first principle. The second principle refers to critical incidents, that is, incidents that are significant or pivotal to the activity being observed in either desirable or undesirable way. So this critical incident could lead you to change your ways or change the theme of the data that you got. So it could you should be prepared to be uncomfortable in case like you have undesirable results that do not match your previous or preconceived idea of the solution is. In interaction design, critical incident analysis has been used in a variety of ways, but the main focus is to identify specific incidents that are significant and then to focus on this and analyze them in detail using the rest of the data collected as context to inform interpretation. This may be identified by participants during a retrospective discussion of a recent event or by an observer either through studying video footage or in real time. So, if you use like a well plan, so these are actually more focused more focused on categorizing data because we have the predetermined uh, plan. So that's the first principle. Second principle refers to critical incident. That is incidents that are significant or pivotal to the activity being observed. So you're looking at the most important, the 20% that produce the 80% of result, which is the Pareto principle. In either a desirable, yeah, this may be identified by participants during In interaction design, critical incident analysis has been used in a variety of ways, but the main focus is to identify specific incidents. That's the key. Specific subsets, I would add, that are significant and then focus on these and analyze them in detail using the rest of the data collected as context to inform interpretation. So this is the key. Once you get the subset that is most important, now you dig onto the detail. So before you went high level to find the most important, but once there, you actually dig into the details. Now you want data. Before you're minimizing noise, now you want more, or you're trying to get new information, or you're trying to the balance are different. As you can see, guys, we shift our focus from high level to lower level, or we zoom out and we zoom in. So you can think of this as a combination of identifying theme and categorizing data. This may be identified by participants during a retrospective discussion of a recent event or by an observer, either through studying video footage in real time. For example, in an evaluation study, a critical incident may be signaled by times when participants were obviously stuck, usually marked by a comment, silence, looks of puzzlement, and so on. This critical analysis can be done via observing, either through studying or indirect observation or in real time. For example, in an evaluation study, a critical incident may be signaled by times when participants were obviously stuck, usually marked by a comment, silence, look of puzzlement, and so on. So you're trying to get an implicit clue via the thematic or inductive process, while at the same time, once you get that implicit clue, you dig deep. You observe, you get a lot of data. You may use like software tools to dig onto that data, and then you find the most important again, and so on. So like you zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in. In a study of city dashboards, Garrett Young and Rob Kitchen used a critical incident technique with concurrent think aloud capture details critically significant behaviors. Participants were asked to explore four city dashboards: Dublin, New York, London, and Hawaii, and the results were used to derive design guidelines for building other city dashboards, including for navigation and visualization. So they use think aloud here to find the critical incident. So they explore that dashboard for a map application for like Waze. In another study, Thomas Carr used a critical incident technique to identify the types of behavior change that playing the location-based augmented reality game Pokemon Go induced in players. They distributed a survey through social media channels asking experienced players to identify and describe one outstanding positive or negative experience. The 262 valid responses were themed and categorized into 8 groups. So here it was applied to Pokemon Go based on 262 survey. It was categorized into subset to find the most important. So they ask for the one outstanding positive or negative experience. Again, for the critical or unusual phenomena. Apart from expected behavior change such as increased physical activity, they also found that players were more social, their routines more meaningful, they expressed more positive emotions, and were more motivated to explore their surroundings. So here, I'm thinking that it's just a lot of information aside from the screen. Just I don't concentrate very well. I'm looking at the screen, so etc. Right? I think we'll discuss this. As an example, the next step, let's identify the next available live music performance that you'd like as you perform this task or watch your friend do it. Make a note of critical incidents associated with the activity. Remember that a critical incident will be a positive or negative comment. Information about such performances may be available through a local notice board, searching ticket vendor apps, looking at social media to see what's recommended by friends, or contacting local bars, theaters, or clubs directly. When this author asked her daughter to attempt this task, several critical incidents emerged, include the following. After checking her social media channels, nothing in the recommendations appealed to her, so she decided to check the local venues directly. She found that one of her favorite bands playing at the music venue for just 1 week, and tickets were still available. When trying to buy the tickets, she discovered that she needed a credit card, which she didn't have. She had to ask me to complete the purchase. So there, first you ask you go to social media, nothing in the recommendation. As you can see, that is a decision-making process for finding the insights because she doesn't know anyone in that social media group, so it doesn't appeal to her. So the key is like finding one that critical incidents where one appeal to your customer, for example, this, if you can find that, you get what they want. Analytical frameworks. In this section, six different approaches are outlined, ordered roughly in terms of their granularity. This is the level of detail involved. For example, conversation analysis has fine level of granularity, and it allows the detailed examination of what is said and how during a short fragment of conversation, while system-based frameworks take a broader scope and have a coarser level of granularity, such as what happens when a new digital technology is introduced into an organization, like a hospital. So, the first is conversational analysis. We have discussed this. So this is how we analyze like big data that we collected, the qualitative, quantitative. So this is the most granular because you're looking at conversation. So it's a lot of words. Um, okay, so system-based framework take a broader scope and have a coarser level. It's a different level of granularity, but basically, it's a different like interface or like you can think of specialized tools that you can use for a system-based analysis or system-based task, such as like a call centers. For that, you need to apply system-based kind of analysis. So that's the interface. Conversation analysis may result in insights to participants' interaction through a collaboration technology. While system-based analysis may result in insights related to changes in work practices, worker satisfaction, improvements in workflow, impact on office culture, and so on. So this conversation analysis, it is being used constantly by big technologies such as Facebook because we message people all the time. So it has been how we exchanged information in the past. It will continue to the future. So we need to learn how to converse and know how to get a data, a subset of data that is important from that conversation. Now, conversation analysis examines the semantics of conversation in fine detail, focusing on how conversation is conducted, uh, so it was being studied since 2006. This technique is useful to examine the rules of conversation, such as how conversations start, how turn taking is structured, and how conversations differ in different settings. For example, it has been used to compare the kind of conversation that take place in face-to-face conversation versus those conducted through social media, and to analyze the conversations that take place with voice-assisted technologies and chatbots. This uses a particular type of syntax for making up the minute of interaction and speech that took place during an approximate 10-second period. Square parentheses are used to show overlapping talk, round parentheses to indicate a pause, and a physical spacing show sequencing of what is said. This level of details enable analysis to reveal subtle cues and mechanisms that are used during conversation. So this is a 10 seconds talk where Alexa has been used by a family. So you consider that it's like cutting off because that's how conversation in real life works. Like people cut off every time each other because like we've learned to read implicit signs such as body language, etc. So in this fragment, Susan, who is the mother, announces to Liam, her son, and Carr, the father, her desire to play a particular game called Beat the Intro with their Amazon Echo. Liam does not want to play, expressed by his long no cry in response. Susan, however, has already called Alexa to wake up the device. Shows his support for her as indicated by his quick "yeah" during the pause after she says Alexa. Alexa, however, appears not to respond. At this point, Susan returns to the ongoing family conversation, telling Liam to keep eating his orange stuff. Carl also chips in after her and says to Liam that he should also eat the green stuff. At the same time, Susan has another go at getting Alexa to wake up. She calls out Alexa twice in a questioning voice. In the pause between Susan's two calls to Alexa, Carl tells Liam to keep eating again. But this time, the brown stopped. Having succeeded in waking up Alexa, Susan then asks it to play the game. So as you can see, there's a lot of cutting off. So that's how conversation works. So what insights does this fine level of analysis provide? Martin Porcheron in 2018 pointed out that it demonstrates how a family's interaction with Amazon Echo is seamlessly interwoven with other ongoing activities. In this case, the parents trying to get their child to eat is food. At a more general level, it illustrates how conversations with each other and voice-assisted technologies interlive in nuanced ways rather than being separate conversations between members of the family or the family and the device, which jump from one another. They also show how their analysis led them to think that the term conversational interaction fails to distinguish between the interactional embeddedness of voice assisted interface and human conversation. Instead, they suggest that current voice assisted technologies be designed using a conceptual model more akin to instructing rather than conversing. So instead of conversing, why not instruct the conversation or lead the conversation away? Because you know that this tools does not have the capability of like processing uh, like these nuance, implicit clue and implicit cue. Why not just program it, instructing it so that you will direct the conversation instead of getting lost in all of this data. Because there's a lot of data, and that's a lot of things that people could say in a conversation that makes it hard to even like um, predict the next reply. So might as well like direct it. So that's the key here. Discourse analysis. While the conversation analysis focuses on the structure of the conversation, discourse analysis focuses on dialogue itself. In other words, the meaning of what is said and how words are used to convey meaning. Discourse analysis is strongly interpretive, pays great attention to context, and views language not only as reflecting psychological and social aspects, but also as constructing them. So this is a key. If you can see this sentence, which is very useful, discourse analysis is strongly interpretive, pays attention to context. Please great attention to concept context. So what does that mean? It means that it used inductive analysis, and the difference is that it used it to interpret based on the context that is stuck, or the context is only one, it's not open to change, unlike the recommended discourse, because you're trying to like interpret it based on your own analysis. So ideally you need other people to provide an analysis as well to get a more holistic view. But because it's purely interpretive based on one goal, so think of it like an open-ended question, because you're trying to get a qualitative data from your like implicit. I think there's value to this, especially for like people, because people, it's really hard to understand what's on their mind, even if they say to you, or yeah, they provide to you what's on their mind. You can't really like you can't read it. So the only way to read it is actually like a fiction. So here, discourse analysis, fiction is very useful again, which is I recommend. An underlying assumption of discourse analysis is that there is no objective scientific truth. Again, there is no objective scientific truth, which there's like I can get the point, right? Language is a form of social reality that is open to interpretation from different perspectives. In this sense, the underlying philosophy of discourse analysis is similar to that of ethnography. So you're open to different perspectives, you're sympathizing uh, in interviewing, you don't have like a bias. Language is viewed as a constructive tool, and discourse analysis is provides a way of focusing on how people use language to construct versions of their words. Small changes in wording can change meaning, as the following excerpts indicate. Discourse analysis is what you do when you are saying that you are doing discourse analysis. According to Paul, discourse analysis is what you do when you're saying that you are doing discourse analysis. So here, one bit of change completely changed the meaning of the word, right? Discourse analysis is useful when trying to identify subtle and implicit meaning being expressed. The data used can be in various formats and come from multiple data sources such as interviews, emails, blog photographs, and news sites. For example, Anna Nagele in 2022 investigated the discourse surrounding wearable sleep tracking devices. So this, as you can see, guys, for discourse analysis, uh, you're looking for like a subtle meaning being expressed. So, which means that you can produce unexpected format of data, just like in open-ended question in interview, uh, which means that you're gonna drown in data again here. So, it's good if you like go deep. You really want to go deep because you're gonna get a lot of qualitative data. But take note that your time is limited, so you can only focus on one thing at a time. That's the balance that you need to do. Using discourse analysis and drawing on their understanding of the cultural background, technology adoption, and use in Brazil in society, they were able to discern the hidden meaning of tweets by identifying the most dominant discourse characteristics. They identified five general themes: support, tweets that promote either side of the political dispute; criticism and protest, tweets that show disapproval or an objection; humor, tweets that were witty and had cartoons or jokes in them; fourth, news, tweets that refer to the news that were neutral in tone; fifth, neutral, tweets that were indifferent or their position could not be inferred. To do this, they collected data from three sources: academic research papers, interviews with wearers, designers, and developers of sleep trackers, and online documents such as websites, social media accounts, and adverts. Through this analysis, they identified six personas relating to the role that sleep trackers play in people's lives: teacher, informant, companion, therapist, coach, and mediator. In the future videos, we will discuss these personas and how it's so useful in identifying people's problem, the complexity of their context and environment. Once classified, the data was analyzed using descriptive statistics and simple visualizations. They found that tweets in the criticism and protest theme were the most popular overall. Followed by humor. So theme were the most popular, and then humor. So they went deep on the data. They get a lot of qualitative data, and then they use a visualization tool to analyze that data to get the most important. You see the zoom in and then out there. The This kind of analysis is very time consuming when done by hand, but there are software tools that can automatically process computer mediated discourses. See section 9.6. One advantage is that much larger datasets can be analyzed. The downside is that analyst is no longer hands-on and loses touch with the surrounding context, meaning that different interpretations arise. So the problem now when you do this large visualization is you lose context of what it really means to get the data because you didn't get it. You do this via indirect observation. So there's a beauty in touching or doing the actual or getting the actual data yourself. So you lose that. It really depends on your goals. Content analysis typically involves classifying the data into categories and then studying the frequency of category occurrences. Although some content analysis approaches emphasize frequency counts more than others, the technique can be used for any text, where text refers to a range of media including video, newspapers, advertisements, surveys, responses, images, and sounds, and any online content, including the text of quiz, links, animated GIFs, videos, and images. They analyzed 270 articles, including 166 feature images, published between 2000 and 2016 to understand the lifestyle expectations they promoted. Their findings indicate that the visions promote an enhanced quality of life, including effortless energy saving, but also new opportunities to consume energy. Julia Kimmelsbach, a 2019 study of diversity in HCI studies, focused on frequency counts. So this content analysis, like we do this to analyze 270 articles, and it focuses on frequency count. So it based on like one main point, which is the content, and you find how frequent is that main point existed on this data. So basically, you're trying to get a subset or section of data, and then you're trying to find the frequency of that subset or category in this big data uh, for content analysis. So you can see it's not that granular compared to conversation and discourse analysis, where conversation you're trying to get all the conversation, while in discourse you're trying to get implicit meaning. For content analysis, you're trying to get a category and then the frequency. So what you're trying to do there really is you're trying to find like a main no yeah, I think you're trying to find like your categories, categorizing data. Yeah, so it's a predefined already because there's a category. And then for that category, you're not going deep really. You're doing a quantitative because you're trying to get how frequent that category exists in the data. So the results show that research is still examined in a limited number and set of dimensions. For example, the dimensions of class and education change from 0.38 to 0.51 mean occurrences, and 1.46 to 1.33 mean occurrences respectively, while sexual orientation increased from 0 to 0.7 mean occurrences. Content analysis is often used in conjunction with other analysis techniques. For example, Zara Razavi analyzed dialogues between a conversational agent and participants using content analysis alongside sentiment analysis. So we will discuss the sentiment in the next future videos. But basically, you can combine this content to other types of analysis like this. After they get the conversation analysis, they try to categorize it. So once they went deep, they are now get once they zoom in, they are now zooming out. An approach that extracts emotional and subjective information from natural language, they observed that the participants were more engaged with the agent when talking about intimate and emotionally intense topics. Interaction analysis. Interaction analysis was developed by Bridget Jordan and Austin Henderson in 1995 as a way of investigating and understanding the interactions of human beings with each other and artifacts and technologies in their environment. The technique focuses on both talk and nonverbal interactions with these, and it is based on video recordings. An underlying assumption of this approach is that knowledge and action are fundamentally social. So basically, you're trying to investigate the interactions here, kind of like a dialogue analysis, but it focuses on both talk and nonverbal interaction, right? So you're trying to look at nonverbal. It is based on video recordings. So it's not based on text. It is based on video. So it's kind of time consuming in a way, but not that detailed compared to conversation in the discourse analysis. An underlying assumption of this approach is that knowledge and action are fundamentally social. The goal is to derive generalizations from various naturally occurring activities, focusing on how the people being observed make sense of each other's actions and their collective achievements. Interaction analysis is an inductive process where teams of researchers suggest statements about patterns from multiple examples of empirical observation. So let's back up a little bit. So it's an inductive process, which means you're trying to discover something, but the difference is that you're not alone here. You have a team which will suggest statements about the general pattern, multiple examples of observation. Multiple examples could be multiple video observation. Individuals often separate analysis and then consistency. Interaction analysis is conducted collaboratively. This is after observations and interpretations of the videos as they watch. First step about creating a content log comprising headings and rough summaries of what is being observed. Categories are repeatedly and discussion of the video reel. So you don't have a categories, it emerged using this multiple people. Hypotheses are also generated by group members about what they think is happening. This process includes suggesting the intentions, motivations, and understandings of the participants based on their actions and not purely speculation. So it also generates hypotheses. So you get the intention, motivation, and understanding of the participants. So you get the level of what do they really think, right? And you have an average as well. But it does not mean that you're gonna get what they really think, like what I've said in fiction. Because the only way to really know what people think is to read fiction. For example, if an analyst thinks someone's motivation to take a photo during a board meeting, they need to provide some stuff that demonstrate how the person is taking this, for instance, presenting their own ideas for a long period of time and excluding others. The videos are then analyzed, as it is called, by extracting interesting materials, reclassifying some of them in terms of what represents, while removing others. Instances of a silent event are assembled and played one after another to determine whether a phenomenon is a robust hit or one-off incident. So you're trying to this is another way of saying that you're categorizing the data that you get, and then you're cleaning it, the data that is not correct. And then you make sure that it's played on sequence, such as if you're looking at a video, since this format is primarily video. The first coding interactions were recorded through two channels, a tablet that was used to program the executive video recording for analysis and processing, following the steps of interaction analysis. Now using fully generated multimodal transcripts of activity recordings, selected two cases that illustrated challenges due to parents and children's different interpretations of symbols and analyzed the recordings to provide insights about these differences and how the challenge were overcome. One of the findings is that physical representational tools support collaboration better than digital tools. So from there, so codable knowledge provide representational tools that invite shared meaning making, and that the representational tools should support translation into robot instructions. The theory. Robin Hood's forest limits interactivity and encourage long-term investment. I think we'll continue with this tomorrow, unfortunately. So just want to provide like system-based frameworks, it's related on cognitive frameworks video. Which framework to use? We discussed this. Tools to support data analysis. So some tools can also generate graphical representations. Um, yeah, so you're using the right tools. Previous sections in this topic is different ways to present in some situation details of the data collection. So here we provide this graph. So we have structured notations like difference and then using stories and then summarizing the findings. So okay, so for summarizing, be careful bias so that results is are not over misrepresented over generalized. So there, and then I'll go back to the survey. Thank you.